We are in gallery.
Let's go.
All right, I think we should be.
Yeah, it says recording on mine too.
Okay, we should be good to go.
Alrighty.
All right, my man.
Ready?
What's going on?
Nothing much. Welcome
You
to
wanna-
should we do it? Should I do a little welcome thing?
Yeah, go ahead. Do the welcome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome to More Than a Number podcast, episode number 1. Jack Klink here with Zach Lefebvre. Zach, what's going on?
What's going on, my brother? Good to see you.
Good to see you too. How you feeling?
Good, man. I was just complimenting your mousse in the hair.
Yeah, so Madeline, as some viewers will know, my girlfriend has given me some hair advice because since May I have not got a haircut, but I've wanted to. I don't know, during the football season I played at UB this past year and I'm done now, but I thought about getting a mullet or some kind of haircut, but I never pulled the trigger on it. So now I'm just growing it out, and people, before I took care of it, thought I just looked like an idiot. But since I was during football and only got football in class, I was fine. But now using a little bit of spray on mousse from Shea Moisture and then some Dove gel, I think that's it.
See, as long as I've known you, at least since we've started college ball, you've always done the buzz cut.
Dude, I did the buzz or like very short hair for so long. It was so much easier. I could use
Or
a
you
bar
did the
soap on my
mohawk.
head.
The mohawk.
The mohawk was high school. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was an interesting look. I'll have to put it up. But yeah, so experimenting with the long hair. Madeline put the hair in a bun 2 nights ago, which is like,
She put your hair in a bun?
yeah, dude. It's a lot longer than this, but with
I
all the
think it's
gel and
'cause it's
everything, it just
curly.
curls up. Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's like a dry sponge. It just like shrinks down.
See, mine does that when it gets super long. Have you seen
Really?
the pictures of me from high school when I had like the super long,
Yeah, I
like,
remember
Ashton
that.
Kutcher hair?
Yeah.
Yeah,
When you got the UB, you had kind of long hair though.
I did.
Like
Yeah,
your first year, I remember that with the
I
red
can't
truck.
believe you
I
guys
remember.
let me walk around like that, but
You're just rocking it, dude.
yeah.
Talk about fuses. Talk about hair. Look at fuses from then.
You wanna know what's funny? Remember Marcus McGill?
Yeah.
Marcus McGill used to call me Farrah Fawcett, and who's the other one? He used to call me Tom Brady. And he used to call me this in the middle of the game too. He'd like come off the field. I was a redshirt freshman at the time, so
Yeah.
like I didn't like have anything really to do with the games. I was just kind of sitting there on the sidelines. I mean, Coach Lappold, still made us dress up in a shoulder pad and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but we weren't really in the game.
No.
So freshman year, I'd be on the sideline just chilling in my hat, cleats, whatever.
Yeah.
And Marcus McGill would like come running off the field, just look at me, and they would always do that roast thing,
Yeah.
roasting the other guys. So he would literally run off the field from a play and just look at me and be like, Farrah Fawcett, and then run back onto the field. I'm like, bro.
Yeah. People don't realize like when they watch college athletics or like just sports in general, like how much like we make fun of each other. I think like people always think it's just do or die on the field, and sometimes it is, but sometimes like people are just like, I'll like make a joke to somebody like in between plays, like on my team, the other team, like it's less serious than people think it is, which is at sometimes, which is kind of funny.
Absolutely. I mean, the locker room is 85% of 85% of your experience as a college athlete is the locker room and the bond that you build there.
Yeah. My young brother Will is trying to figure out where to go to college right now, and it's like I'm telling him, I'm like, when you visit, like coaches matter, facilities matter, all that stuff is important. The school, how big the school is, whatever, fraternities, girls, all that stuff matters. But then you also have to have like a good locker room. So by like visiting, talking to potential teammates, that's all really big stuff, because if you're not enjoying the locker room, it's tough to have a fun time in school.
Absolutely. Where has he been getting offers or just looks?
Yeah, he's got a few offers. He's got Sacred Heart and Central Connecticut State, and they're both like partial scholarships through FCS. And then he's got the walk-on from Marshall and UB, so he's trying to figure that
dang.
out. But he's going to enroll in the spring, so he's trying to figure that out right now.
Good for him, dude.
Yeah,
I
shout
remember
out to Will.
Well, yeah, shout out Will. When we were training in high school, it was probably our freshman sophomore year when I would come back to Mendon and train with you guys.
Yeah.
I remember Will working out there. He was just a young buck back then.
Tiny little
He's
guy.
beefed up now, dude.
Yeah, he's like 6'4", 230, 235. So
Kid's a beast. I love watching his highlights.
Yeah, he's much more athletic than me. So I watch him and he scores a touchdown, and I'm like, all right, it feels like I scored a touchdown. So,
Very
alrighty,
cool.
well, we'll do a little quick introduction in case you're watching right now and you don't really know who we are. So I guess I'll start. I'm Jack Klink, originally from Pittsford Sutherland High School out of Rochester, New York. And then I went on to play football and got my undergrad at UB. And now I'm currently a grad student at UB. I just finished my football career, played 6 years at UB. Originally came in as a walk-on and eventually earned a spot playing on the field. So that's how I got to know Zach. And then Zach, why don't you give a little intro by yourself as well?
Yeah, so my name is Zach Lefebvre. I grew up in Victor, New York, so it's actually probably 10 minutes down the road from where Clank grew up in Pittsburgh, right down the thruway there, or expressway. I was a three sport athlete in high school, football, baseball, basketball, up until about I want to say end of my sophomore year. That's when I kind of cut all ties with the rest of the sports and decided to focus on football the most. Ended up getting a scholarship to go play at Buffalo. I had a few other scholarship offers, not as what were they? The D1 AA, is that what you call them?
You have would you have like Bucknell or something?
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
had like the Patriot League. If anyone's familiar with the Patriot League, that's what I had. And then I went to a Syracuse camp. Hold on, side tangent real quick. This is what set me off. I went to a Syracuse camp, and I thought I had a great camp there. I thought I did good on all my testings, and the only thing I didn't know was my 40, because they never tell you the 40 after you run them at the camps.
Classic.
Yeah, right. So I thought I had a great camp, did good in all the drills and stuff like that, all the testing. And after, the guy called me over who was talking to me and recruiting me there, and he was like, "You're a great tight end. You're gonna play D1 somewhere. You're just not fast enough to play here." And I swear, bro, that comment right there, that like turned me into an animal. As soon as I heard that, because that was like junior year, when I was like,
up.
yeah, that's like what
Yeah.
sparked me. And it's funny too, because I went into college, and by the time I was done with college, I was probably one of the fastest tight ends through it we had. So, but anyways, side tangent. Yeah, so I ended up going to UB. I played 5 years at Buffalo. I hit the transfer portal for my last year, and I ended up going to Western Kentucky. That was a big step for me. I finished my degree at Buffalo, so I had a degree in health and human services, and then once I graduated, I thought it was time to move on and see what other opportunities presented itself to me. So I ended up going to Western Kentucky for my last year before I was sidelined due to an injury, neck injury that it was lingering from Buffalo that I had, and just didn't know how severe it was. Got to Kentucky, ended up being a little bit more severe than we thought. So that ended up cutting my career short. So I didn't get to finish my last year at Kentucky. But yeah, that's pretty much what has brought me up to here. Now I'm a personal trainer. Little side plug for you guys right here.
Oh yeah.
Yep, the Apex Pursuit. You can visit my Instagram or website at theapexpursuitcompany.com, www.theapexpursuitco.com, or the Apex Pursuit on Instagram. So yeah, that's pretty much a quick, brief background on me.
Sweet. Yeah. So how we got to know each other is through UB. Because in high school, we're, like Zach said, we're like 10 minutes away from each other. So we were high school, we were in rivals. We were rivals the whole time. I don't think we beat you guys once, but we were rivals nonetheless. And Zach was our big tight end who always they ran the ball, I don't know, 95% of the time. But when they passed it, they do a little play action pop pass, and Zach would be open right down the seam.
Streaking.
So I used to hate him. And then met him at UB, and he was a lot more likable than I thought. Great guy. So that's kind of how we got to know each other. We both ended up at UB in the summer of 2016, which got that whole class real close, because that was a grind of a summer when we first got there.
Yeah, shout out Joff Mandel for those pop passes, man. Got me recruited right there. No, but 100%. So once we all got to campus, Taylor Riggins wasn't there yet. He was another Rochester guy. He was at UMass at the time. But once we showed up on campus, what was it? It was me, you, Jake Mulinich.
Yeah, Jake Fuse.
I'm talking about from the Rochester area.
Oh, from Rochester, yeah.
That first freshman summer.
Todd Rocker got there in August.
Oh, Todd too. Yep, Todd.
Yep.
But yeah, for that summer. Yeah, that's pretty much how we started bonding at first, I would say. And shout out Jake Mulinich for his truck. He drove just about the whole entire team everywhere.
Yeah, we sat in the bed
that summer. He'd be driving to lifts in the morning with like, I swear, probably like 9 of us just like bodied in the back of his truck.
Yep. Yeah, that's a fact. We used to be ducking when we were going down what's that road right next to the cemetery, and the cops were always there, so we have to all duck late.
Yeah, facts.
Like hide back so we don't look like we're caravanning across the border. But so yeah, we met freshman year, and then eventually played together for those 5 years, and now trying to share the knowledge or somewhat knowledge that we have now, and our experiences, and kind of answering questions, whether you're in high school looking to go play college, you're just interested in football or interested in post football or whatever, because we've got a lot more interest than just football. So we're excited to kind of talk about it, go over it. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's going to be a big basis of the podcast is kind of because football has been such a big part of our lives for so long. I don't know what age were you when you first started playing football?
I was in 6th grade.
Right. So I think I even started. I mean, I started flag football when I was probably.
I did play flag.
1st or 2nd.
Yep.
So however old that is, all the way up until 23 years old when I stopped playing. So it's consumed a bunch of our lives, but moving past football now into what you would call the real world, I guess you could say. That's why we made this podcast the name of it More Than a Number, because we don't want football to I guess consume our life, or only like we're known for football, you know what I mean? So I don't want to be that guy.
One interest.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we're here to to share, and we have a lot of knowledge and experience in football, so obviously we're going to be talking about stuff like that. But from my background with personal training, nutrition, stuff like that, we have a lot of bases to cover, and we also have a fair amount of connections all over the place, you know what I mean? So a lot of guest appearances and stuff like that could happen, and I'm pretty excited for stuff like that and some of the guests to come on here.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. So
what do you say we get into our main topics for today?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
All right, my brother. So I think one of the good main topics for this podcast is going to be how to become a Division I athlete, and not only how to become a Division I athlete, but how to excel as a Division I athlete, because I think there's a difference there.
Yep.
Do you want to start out?
Yeah, that sounds good. So how to become a Division I athlete, there's a lot of different aspects. So first of all, you've got to play, obviously in high school, play on varsity, be a prominent contributor on your team. You've got to have some solid size, be a solid sized athlete, and then have some kind of good traits. You don't always have to be the biggest or strongest, because there's so many small guys like Jared Patterson who are on our team, and a fantastic player, and 5'6", 200 pounds. So you don't have to be the biggest guy by any means, but you got to pop on film. I think that's one of the biggest things that high schoolers should know, is you want to pop on film, just to get that attention of a coach's eye. And then along with going to camps, I'm the oldest out of my 3 brothers, and I never really understood the importance of camps or how they would help give you exposure, get your name in college coaches' heads when you're going into your senior season. They know, okay, this kid's a lineman. He went to this camp. He was a solid sized lineman. Let me go check out his film. But instead, I didn't go to any camps. So when I set out my film, nobody's seen me in person. They don't know if because so many people lie on Huddle and their Twitter. They say they're 6'4", they're 6'1". They say they squat 400, they squat 275. So they never saw me. So most schools didn't even know how big I was or any of that stuff. So really, playing hard in high school. And there's so many more aspects, and I'll let you talk about it. But then popping on film and then going to camps is really important as well. What are some things you kind of think have helped you get to D1, and what can help other kids get to D1?
I think the biggest thing nowadays is going to be most likely the camps and popping on film. Um, Obviously, there's the work ethic, dedication, all that kind of stuff behind it too. But the biggest thing is if you're showing up on film every single play consistently, and you're going to camps and you're showing yourself consistently at camps too, I feel like those are the two biggest things. I didn't start getting most of my offers until I started showing up at camps, to be honest with you. I had some decent film,
Yep.
but it wasn't until I started showing up to the camps and, you know, ran routes in front of the coaches against other live competition and stuff like that is when I started to really get some attention and most of my offers.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and then another thing to mention is lifting in high school, building that base for your body. Most kids have to grow into their frame. Or if you're smaller, you've got to get strong. If you're small, you got to use your strength, your leverage to your advantage. So hitting the weights, that's something my high school coach, Keith Molnich, the GOAT, he just
Shout out
emphasized
Keith.
always shout out Keith. He always emphasized the importance of just lifting. Power cleaning was his favorite. He said, you don't get injured if you power clean, and you've got to be lifting, squatting deep, lifting heavy, and then training throughout the off season. Don't take 3 months off and just do nothing. And then I think another thing, which I didn't do, but I think can be helpful, is playing other sports, staying athletic, staying in shape. I think especially for football players, doing something like wrestling or doing something like lacrosse, hockey, those physical sports that use different parts of your muscles or use them differently can really be helpful for you when you get to college and you're doing all these different drills in uncomfortable positions. Maybe you're used to those by playing other sports as well. What do you kind of think about that?
I couldn't agree more with everything you just said. And I think it's important to point out that because listen, when it comes down to it, not everyone's gonna have the same work ethic as me and you.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to say that me and you have similar work ethics that, you know,
Yeah.
we try to be the hardest workers in the room. We try to be the first ones in, last ones out. I'm sure if we could compete against each other doing that, we would do that. Just knowing you'd probably win at the first one in because you would wake up at 4 o'clock and
Yeah.
and get there a few hours early. But that just kind of shows the people that we are with our work ethics. So, and then you're gonna have those kids though that, you know, that don't really work as hard, but still get that stand out on tape. They still get all the offers, and, you know, they're able to fly by the seat of their pants, maybe because they're 6'6", 250 naturally. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And they run a 4.5. So I think that's where it can kind of lead into our next topic, not next topic, but like, how do you excel?
Mm-hmm.
If you're one of those kids that is naturally gifted like that, and you're not putting in that work in the weight room, being a multiple sport athlete, like you said, doing the extra work, if you're not one of those kids and you're one of those kids that just got offers because of, you know, maybe appearance, because that really is a true fact, is a lot of kids can get offers just of their stature. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Pass the eye test for sure.
Right. Passing the eye test. So say you're one of those kids and you get to that Division I level. How do you excel now being at that level? How do you take what you got and accelerate?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's all mindset from there, right? You've got the physical tools. You have, obviously, everyone when you go to college is really physically talented. Whether you're going from high school D3, D2, D1, whatever you're doing, you're going to a higher talent pool. There's more talent. So if you just go and maybe you're equally talented as another player in your position, but you don't work as hard or you don't have the great mindset, that person is going to play better than you. They're going to be better than you. So sometimes kids, and even myself, like I thought I was just a beast O lineman, moving guys, and then I go play at UB way faster. Like didn't even matter my strength. I had to get used to the speed right away. So you got to be humble when you get there. You've got to be, when you're trying to really accelerate, you've got to know. I always told my brother this because he played on varsity as a sophomore and I didn't. So I was like, you got to just be humble. Like, even though you feel like you're better than kids your age or you're better than whatever average kids. You've got to still have that mindset of I want to keep improving. And if you have that this satisfied mindset is poisonous for athletes and people in general, I think as well, is you got to have those goals too. Like if you're, like you were saying, a 6'6", 250 kid, beast tight end prospect, if you were just satisfied with how it is, you're not going to really improve much. You might play on special teams in college. You might get looks in whatever 13, 14 personnel. But besides that, you might not see the field a lot if you don't improve at all. And that mindset, and especially the coachability part of it too, you're gonna get critiqued in college harder than you did in high school, I'd imagine, for most kids, unless they have a crazy high school coach. You're gonna get critiqued a lot harder. You're gonna get coached harder. You're gonna get yelled at sometimes, especially by strength coaches. And you've got to be able to take that coaching, and instead of taking it personally, you got to just take it to heart. What were you gonna say?
Shout out Coach Sid.
Yeah, Coach
Our
Sid.
first strength coach.
Yep. And then so many coach from that, Coach Day, Coach Lou, Coach Sleeve, Coach
quick
Cole
background.
this year was an animal.
Our first strength coach, Coach Sid, who I just mentioned, trains Green Berets, or
He
did,
does, yeah.
right? Or does he now?
I think he still does, yeah.
Yeah. So straight,
just menace.
Straight, yeah. Intimidation.
Absolutely. So you've
sorry to cut you off though.
No, you're good. So you got to check your ego at the door if you really want to excel as a D1 athlete, or any kind of athlete, even in high school. You've got to check your ego at the door. You've got to get your mental state, I think, just proper. You've got to have that humble mindset. Those are kind of my main things. What about you? What do you think about that?
So
excel in D1?
Yeah. I really like what you said about it being a poisonous mindset. You know what I mean? Like satisfaction. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing that I've never had. I was never satisfied. It was almost, I'm a perfectionist in a lot of the stuff I do. And a lot of people that know me closely know that about me, is I'm a perfectionist. And that's almost a mindset that I think that all the greats have, you know what I mean? And I'm not, trust me, I'm not saying I'm one of the greats. Wish I was, but I'm not. But I feel like a lot of the greats share that kind of mindset where they're perfectionists. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan. Do you know how many like hours and hours they would show up before the games and practices and stuff like that, just to be shooting by themselves in the gym? You know what I mean? It's being a perfectionist and never being satisfied. I think that's how you really excel. Because when you never are satisfied, you're always working to improve. You never think you've made it. And I feel like that's where a lot of people could go wrong, is once they get that scholarship, they think they've made it. You know what I mean? Oh, I got the scholarship. I got the D1 scholarship. I can relax. I can take my foot off the pedal.
Yep.
No.
Yeah, I think, and I can relate to have that satisfied mindset. I haven't been always perfect throughout my college career and being satisfied as much as I'd like to think about it. Like, I came to college and I was just had fanatical effort, was completely obsessed with earning a scholarship, and pushed so hard that I was almost like to the breaking point by 2018. And I didn't get satisfied, but then I kind of just accepted, like, as hard as I'm going to try, some things just have to work themselves out. I would always pray about it. And then even this season, like, I wasn't satisfied, but I know you always look back, at least for me, and I always look back on things I like could have done better. And like, even things like you were talking about showing up early and how I beat you, like this season, I wasn't going always as early as I should have been. And a lot of it is because I wasn't even like lazy. Like, I would get to the stadium early, but I would just, like Madeline calls it, jack time. Sometimes I just run like a little slow, and I would eat breakfast, do all this, and I'd be in the training room, but I didn't get in that meeting room until a couple minutes before. And our assistant strength coach, Coach Heitz, would always be on my ass about getting in the meeting room a little earlier. And those things, like, I was just satisfied with, I'll get in the meeting room a little later. If I don't have a seat in front, I'll get in the back. And I think that was like, those are some things looking back, I wish I improved on. And now I'm trying to improve on, I guess, just being on time, doing things like just little things. Because when you're 6 years in, whether you have a job, right, if you're in high school, if you're in college, if you're a stud high school athlete, you're going to get a little bit satisfied. You're like, shit, man, I don't have to go right on time to practice. Some kids have that mindset. And eventually when you succeed for a while, sometimes that just creeps in. And that for, at least for me this year, for the first time in a while, it kind of crept in. Have you experienced that?
Yeah, absolutely. Trust me, it's easy to be satisfied. It is. And I'm not saying I'm never satisfied. I guess, but what I will say, I was never satisfied with my play. And I don't know if that's a mental thing.
Definitely agree with that.
Yeah, I was never satisfied with my play on the field. But things like you were saying, like maybe the meeting being a little bit later to the meetings, and then that building up starts out really early. By your 6-year senior, you're not as early. You know what I mean? And so definitely I can see that happening. And it's super easy to fall into that. But I think if you're somebody who can recognize that and not be so okay with being satisfied, you know what I mean? It can really take your game to the next level.
Yeah. And it's also, like I mentioned before, of like what makes D1 athletes and what makes them excel is coachability. And I think that's something that's really important, because when you're showing up a little, maybe not late, but you're not as early as you're supposed to be. Like I know for us, it was called bowl time, and it was always 5 minutes throughout our past 6 years, whether it's bowl time or +5 or whatever it's called. It always got to be the meetings early, which is obviously makes sense because now I'm interviewing for jobs and I got to be early. But then Coach Heiss would tell me, or somebody would be like, hey, we got to get it here a little earlier. And it'd be 7 in the morning. I'd be like, no, like I'm fine. And I would just had that complacent mindset. Like I'm a 6-year senior. I've earned my respect, but that's not the right mindset. And hopefully people can take away from that. Like, don't think you're like bigger than anything like that, because I didn't think I was bigger than it, but I was like, dude, it's 5 minutes. Like,
we'll check your ego at the door, like you said.
Yes. And I got to just like remember, and I wish I remembered that. And I think by the end of the season, I started to kind of understand
kids
that.
with the biggest egos are the first ones to fall in college ball.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you haven't, like, I didn't have 1 ounce of ego when I first got there.
No, when I first got there, bro, what?
No,
I didn't talk to
like,
I talked to people, but I like no ego. Like,
yeah, no
ego was thrown out.
Yeah, you got to be humble as hell when you first get to college. So
especially that first first practice of the year with pads on. I got that first hit. Oh yeah, I had no ego.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think that's a huge thing for anything, any sport, any whatever, even school. If you're going to school and you're computer science and you're smart as shit, check your ego at the door, because your professor probably knows more than you about coding Python or whatever the hell you're coding. So that's really important, that I battled with this past season, just because I think the monotony of having the same routine for 6 years, I can't imagine how guys in the NFL like Tom Brady for 20 years stay that motivated. And I think just continuing to talk to helpful people too. Like I was always talking to my trainer, Andy, Coach Heiss, Coach Cole, O-line coach, Coach Stansfield, like all these people. Sometimes they just remind me like, hey, like they thought our O-line would be shitty, or hey, whatever, you were like, just good things to keep you grounded and keep you motivated. So I think, and then just coaching you like normal. Like if Coach Cole thought I was lifting like a softie, he would tell me that. Like it was just, and I'd be like, all right, let me show this guy. So like little things like that, I think can really help athletes excel, is just listening to people around you trust.
That's good. Yeah. I mean, I think we covered that pretty thoroughly.
Yep.
Do you have anything else you want to add?
No, if people have questions about more things about becoming a D1 athlete or specific aspects of it, let us know in the comments below. We'd love to answer. Be great topics for future videos, or just we can respond in the comments. So let us know if you've got any questions about how to become a D1 athlete, or how to excel as a D1 athlete. Of course, we didn't cover every single thing about it. There's many more aspects to it, but that's just kind of our painting with a broad brush.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I couldn't have said it better. There's so many more deep dives that we could take into that.
Yeah. So
go a lot of
certain questions.
So yeah, absolutely.
If you have questions that we can kind of dive deeper in, or certain aspects of a question, love to hear about it. So let us know in the comments below.
Cool. All right, next. Who influenced us the most athletically? So I can take it from here if you want me to go first.
Yeah, sure. You can start.
All right, cool. So honestly, athletically, I would say my first, which is weird because I'm a football player, my first like athlete crush was Alex Rodriguez. Dude, I was a huge Yankees fan. Yeah, absolutely. I was a huge Yankees fan. And A-Rod was a beast. He was like bigger than everybody. He played third base. Like I always wanted to play third base, but they'd always stick me at first because I was too big.
Hot corner, baby.
Yeah. He batted fourth. He did everything. And I wanted to be A-Rod. Like I just wanted to be A-Rod. So I based my whole game off of A-Rod. And I would say football wise, it started out with my dad and my brother. Because to be honest with you, I never really liked football that much. I didn't like to hit. And like people probably know that by now. but I'm not the
Pretty boy.
biggest like head slammer.
Yeah.
So I wasn't always huge on football. I like baseball, but I saw my brother and my dad how much they loved football, and they they loved it to like a next level that like I never really understood. You know what I mean? I was always
Yep.
like, Dad, I don't want to put this tight ass helmet on and go run into people. Like it's just not my gig. I don't like it. But once my brother went to varsity and I started getting a little bit older, and I saw like the brotherhood that he formed, and this is what really made me a football player.
Mhm.
My brother's last game, we lost to Canandaigua, and he came off the field crying, like super, like bawling his eyes out, and I couldn't understand that. I was like, what are you crying for? But I didn't say anything. I'm a little, you know what I
Yep.
mean? Like he
Yeah,
would
yeah,
have beat my ass at the
yeah.
time if I said anything.
Yeah.
So I'm watching him cry, and then I see my dad start crying, and they're like hugging each other, and I'm like, holy shit, like what's going on, man? Like it like struck a chord with me.
Mm-hmm.
And that next year I got called up to varsity, and I started to experience some of that brotherhood and like bonding. And that's what really kind of like influenced me to be the athlete that I was at football, because I saw how much they cared and how much it could mean to somebody. And I wanted that, you know what I mean? Because it's my brother and my dad. Like I want to share that too.
Yep.
So I wanted that for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess those two would probably have influenced me the most football
Yeah.
wise, and A-Rod baseball all the way. I'm hitting 500 dingers just like A-Rod. If I was in
Oh
the
yeah.
MLB right now, A-Rod's my boy. He's my first dude I'm
Ju-
calling up.
just juice into the gills.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Why not?
Bring it back. Stop drug testing.
Yeah, yeah,
Enough of the
facts.
drug tests.
Bro, it'd
Color
be a
less
home run
NBA.
derby every game. That'd be sick.
I
Who
know.
wouldn't want to pay for that?
They gotta have it. Bring it back. Bring back the
Bring,
cork bats too.
bring back the juice.
Yeah, it's still probably there, as we know in all sports. But so then for those are good influences. Yeah, I like those. So for me, I was a baseball fan, football fan. I never had. I'm trying to think of players I really like idolized. I just liked so many different players. I used to get Sports Illustrated magazine, the kids, and I would take out the poster, just put it on my wall, and I have like 55, 60 posters on my wall of just random people, of random players who I liked, but I never had like maybe specific ones, but I was just a massive Bills fan. So that at the end of the day, any Bills
Go
player,
Bills.
I was like, yeah. As anyone who knows me knows, I'm a massive Bills fan. I'm going to the game this weekend at 4, and I went to last game as well. But go Bills, and any Bills player was basically they influenced me. Lee Evans, Willis McGahee, Marshawn Lynch, even Trent Edwards and JP Lossman, even though they're
Ooh.
disappointing. And now Josh Allen, the GOAT. And so any Bills player just got me hyped. I grew up watching football as kind of like my own choice. My dad watched casually. He's like a casual Bills fan, but not like fanatic like me and my brothers. And I think that almost like he didn't force us to really watch. He's a hockey guy too. He likes hockey, which I never played, and likes baseball. So he was just kind of like, and he'd always be working on the weekends, and like I don't know, he'd just be at work all the time. So me and my brothers would just turn on Sports Center and watch all the sports, and then I'll watch the Bills on the weekends, and that eventually just kind of grew into who I really idolized. I always watched the starting lineups run out on the field, and I was like, damn, that's fucking sick. And just playing in front of like I remember my first Bills game, like you're playing those guys are playing in front of 75,000 people. I was in the 300s. It was a Bills Patriots game. We got whooped by Tom Brady, but like there was a fight like a row in front of me. I was like, all right, this is the like this is
This is
awesome.
the environment that I want.
Yeah, I was like, this is what we need. So I was a Bills Mafia fan from since I was young, and then went to Bills training camp and always watch the players, watch the drills. I used to ask the players would come over, sign autographs, and I asked them like tips. So then I could like try to use some like skill they knew in like football. I'd be like 6th grade, like ask Kyle Williams, like, what can I do to be a better D lineman? I remember he
Bro,
was like, hit him in the
that's
mouth.
pretty like thinking forward. Like
Oh
that's
yeah.
pretty
I
good
was
for
like,
6th grade. You know what I mean? Like
bro,
I
I
would be
was
starstruck. I'd be like, oh, Kyle Williams. Like I
I
wouldn't
was
know
just
what to
asking
say.
him questions.
And
Yeah, I
you're
was just
asking
asking
him
him questions.
questions.
Yeah. So
All right.
especially like those Bills players like Eric Wood, Kyle Williams. I played O-line, D-line for in like middle school, high school, like every other lineman, playing both sides. And I always just idolized the Bills players, loved the Bills. Lee Evans particularly was one of my favorites back in the day. Um, and then as I got older, I didn't really have many influences. Like I love Jason Kelsey. He's an athletic player, even though I'm nothing like him. That's Dirk Nowitzki right there. And then so many other NFL players where I love just watching O-line film, like Trent Williams just murder people. Like that's just a great time to watch. Even though I don't play a lot like them either. I was more of like a technical, average size under below average strength and speed. So I just use my technical ability I learned throughout the years. So definitely idolized Jimmy O'Hagan once I got to UB. He was the starting center. He was 2 years older than me. And I really, he took me under his wing right away. And as a walk-on freshman who knew nothing about O-line technique besides blocking power, which is just blocking down for 3 linemen, pulling a guard, and then having a back block hinge with the backside tackle, which is a pretty basic play. We ran that all the time in high school, and that's all I knew. And he just taught me so much. So I idolized him throughout my career, wanted to be like him, wanted to start. And he was really a big mentor to me. And then also idolized, or like, I guess just really looked up to like Glenn Mulnich. He came from Pittsburgh, went to UB, played D1. I never even thought of playing D1 until he went D1. He walked on, got a scholarship, and I was like, dang, that's actually like possible. I never even thought of it. I was just thinking about going into like the Marines or Army after high school because I hated school. And I saw Glenn go D1, and that kind of like sparked an interest. And I remember Jake and Josh Mack and other guys getting offers. And then I remember before that, Charlie Schumann, he got offers and played at Penn State. And I didn't realize, I never thought like playing kids from my school would go with D1. Like it was just like I would watch Alabama on TV or Penn State or Ohio State or UB, and I'd be like, dang, that's cool. And then I finally knew people playing D1, and I was like, wait a second, that's like real life. I can do that. And eventually started like sophomore, junior year, I wanted to play D1. And then when I got to D1, when I played at UB, I looked up, like I said, Jimmy. And then besides that, a lot of UFC fighters. I love watching UFC highlights. That's my second favorite sport besides football.
Dana White.
Dana White, yeah. Man's a savage. So I'm a big UFC fan. So I love watching like just any motivational documentaries about Nate Diaz, Conor McGregor, Francis Ngannou. I'm trying to think of other, Derek Lewis, who's got the best Instagram in the game. I love watching those guys, their stories. I could kind of, especially in off-season training, need that motivation because I usually work out alone or maybe with you or somebody else. But I just love watching those motivational videos. And those were really some athletes that like just that mindset. Those guys just were just dogs, especially like Nate Diaz.
So I kept it pretty basic. You kind of dived into it a little bit more, but I kind of want to point out some things. No, I like that, and I want to point out some things that I caught from it. Is that you have different inspirations for different aspects of your game, and I feel like that's super important. So, and I can dive a little bit deeper into this as well. So, like, you saying that you weren't the most athletically gifted lineman.
Mm-hmm.
You found a guy that you liked for that reason. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You found a guy that you could relate to and learn something from. And that's why he influenced you. So I was the same way. I wasn't the biggest tight end. Maybe my freshman year, when I was 260, I was considered a decent size. But once I started getting down in the 240s, 230s, I wasn't that big anymore. So I had to find guys at the next level that were my stature and played my game that I liked, you know what I mean? And that I could relate to. So guys that weren't as big, maybe like the Zach Ertz or all of them are still fairly big, but like the Zach Ertz and the George Kittles, they're not humongous guys, you know what I mean? But they're super good with their bodies and they're technical and they make plays. So I thought it was really important. And I also liked how you pointed out from a different perspective, not even football, you idolize some of the UFC fighters. And they influence you because of like their mindset and stuff like that. Is that what you were saying, their mindsets?
Yeah, I love watching Nate Diaz. Like he's got a great YouTube channel. It's really just to the point. And I love watching it because he's not the most like talented guy. Like if he ran a combine, he's not blowing the combine numbers out of the
Right.
water. He's just like a lanky Mexican dude who's just a savage. And his mindset is really him and Nate and Nick Diaz. Just I love watching them because I could kind of relate to that because I felt like I had a good gas tank and I wanted to use that as like an advantage. Like, all right, I'm not the strongest lineman, I'm not the fastest, but like if I just don't get tired, then I can just be better because eventually in practice or in the game, I can just take so many reps. And that's what I did throughout my years at UB was just getting so many reps through 4 years of not starting in practice. I took so many reps of just any position, guard, tackle, center. I played all five throughout practice throughout that time. And I watched them and they were like motivational because they would be swimming, running, biking. And in the off season, I would just push the pace for any of those workouts and extra workouts just so I knew, okay, well, I'll be in the best shape I can be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So overall, I mean, we both kind of listed a few of ours, but I think it's important just to identify for anybody who's listening that, maybe has an is influenced for the wrong reasons. So obviously, if you're influenced by somebody, you're influenced by somebody. I don't want to talk you off that bridge, but I feel like it's important to have like specific influences, if that makes sense. So like a, a, a reason why somebody influences you the way they do, whether it's their swag. So you like the way they look, you like the way they dress. All right, cool. You like that player for that reason. But I feel like if you like other players for other reasons that can help your own game, I feel like that's most important. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Taking particular skills or attributes that you can maybe learn or eventually have, or maybe just take a piece of their skill or attribute and incorporate into your game eventually through practice, repetitions, thinking over in your mind too, having that mind muscle connection is really important in football and lifting, whatever you want to do. So yeah, having influences who have some positive aspects, and they're not going to be always perfect. Of course, I love watching John Jones, and he's not the most perfect guy. Your parents is huge. If you don't have positive influences within your own home, it makes everything so much harder. Of just going to school, being motivated to go to school. If no one in your family cares about what grades you get, or no one in your family cares about how hard you play or what you do, it's really hard to be motivated in general because nobody's pushing you, nobody's encouraging you, nobody's checking up on you. And I think that's something that I witnessed when I got to college. I saw a little bit in high school, but I was privileged. I went to Pittsford, was a great high school. Before that, I lived in Buffalo, and I kind of saw the lack of attention some kids received. But when I got to college, you see these guys who are good people, but sometimes may struggle a little more than others. And it's because they had a tougher upbringing than maybe me or you had. They went through different challenges, or maybe they weren't challenged enough in certain aspects of their life, like education or athletics in the off season, maybe was neglected from certain people. And that's really important to recognize as well, is those influences sometimes you can't control. We couldn't control influences, but they were fantastic. And some other guys have bad influences, right? And and the thing is for them, we didn't experience that. At least I know I didn't experience having terrible influences. So it's tough for me to tell them how to think because they just were brought up from when they were born. They had influences who weren't as positive for their life. But I think it's just another challenge that if you started out with tough influences or not positive influences, and you eventually work your way to playing D1, and then from there is try to keep having that positive mindset, finding those positive influencers, whether it's social media or just athletes like we were mentioning, or anybody, but finding just a mentor, whether it's going to church, whether it's lifting with your high school coach, any of that stuff can really help people find positive influences and just get them in the right direction.
Absolutely. Like Mike Tyson finding his trainer there. I forgot the guy's name, but
Yeah. After he had that old dude as a trainer, was just a savage.
Yeah.
He did like mind control tricks on Mike Tyson too, which is kind of crazy.
Dude. So maybe not that guy, but
I mean,
you
he
know what
won
we're
the
trying to say.
championship. So.
Yeah, it is true. Mike Tyson is Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like putting those puzzle pieces together and finding a good influence is huge. And
Massive.
yeah. All right, cool, man. I think that's pretty good, right?
Yeah, I think so. Let us know in the comments if it's good or bad.
Yeah, facts. Let us know if we suck.
Yep. And then I guess the next thing we can talk about is kind of the differences that we experienced and other people experienced, maybe that they told us is from their journey from high school to college football, or it could be other sports too. If people have questions or comments, want to let us know about their transition from high school to college football. I know it's different for all levels, whether you're going to D1, D2, D3, JUCO, prep school. They're all different experiences. They're all respected experiences by us. Just because we play D1 doesn't mean we think D2 or D3 athletes are not as good. I know so many of my friends play D2, D3, just absolute grinders who I thought could have been contributors on D1 teams and just didn't get found, or maybe it was just a better fit financially or athletically to go to those smaller schools.
Cam Newton, dude.
So,
Cam Newton was a JUCO kid.
yeah, JUCO. Ellie Marpet, an absolute beast offensive lineman. He's a guard for Tampa. He played
He
at
went to Hobart, right?
Yep. Yeah, he went to
Yeah.
Hobart.
Yeah.
So whatever level, we're going to talk about our experiences from high school to D1. But if you're going to D3, you can still relate to these because maybe they're just not as drastic, or maybe they are if you're playing at an insane D3 school like Whitewater, or some really good other D3s like Brockport, or they have really good talent. So what do you think? What are the biggest differences that you noticed right out of the gate in June 2016? And then from there, from high school to college?
Yeah. Speed,
Yep.
physicality, overall time consumption, or like life consumption, if that makes sense.
Oh, it makes sense.
Yeah, those three, boom, boom, boom. If I had to pick any, those are it. And I'll let you name yours in just a second.
Yep.
But just to go off that time consumption, I thought I was dedicated in high school. I was dedicated in high school. I'm not gonna. I mean,
yeah, there's
I
levels of
wasn't.
dedication.
I had the size and stature, but I wasn't that athletic. I had to work for that. I really had to work for that, and I really wasn't that athletic when I went to college, compared to where I was at the end of college. That was all work ethic. So I had a good work ethic in high school, but just the overall consumption of life that football takes, especially at the Division I level. I know it does at all levels, but at the Division I level, especially because they're paying you to be there in most cases.
Yep.
They expect a lot. They expect a lot. So yeah, those are my top three right there. We can dive into them a little bit more. I'm gonna let you go ahead and
Yeah. So the differences I noticed, like you said, was first of all game speed, and that can probably go for any sport or any competition that you're transitioning to a higher level. The overall game speed was much faster. So as a lineman, I need to work up to the second level often. If I'm not blocking a D tackle, I'm going to a linebacker. In my practices as a freshman, when I went up to the linebacker was not there. I did not see a linebacker. I was just looking around like there is no linebacker here. And it's because number 4, Khalil Hodge, was way faster
already gone.
than I was. He was gone. He made the tackle, and I'm looking for the linebacker. And the game speed is so much quicker. And that's something that some guys who come in as freshmen just click right away, and some guys don't. And I think that matters and is impacted by your high school competition. So if you're playing against just absolute beasts in high school, that's why people recruit Florida so heavily, Texas, these big high schools, Ohio, is because their game speed has a bunch of D1, D2, and D3 players playing in it. It's not just random kids who are going to go in a frat in 6 months at a college. They're a bunch of high school kids who are going to play in college, and that really impacts the game speed. So when they transition from a high-level high school to UB, or to whatever D1 or D2 or D3 school, they're used to that game speed a little more than maybe we were playing in Section 5 in New York. What were you to say?
Absolutely. No, I couldn't agree more, because dude, when I would go back and watch my high school, and I thought our high school was good at the time. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Until I went to college and realized that, because we were playing against our bums. But no, I'm kidding. Shout out Section 5. That's home. But anyways, when I would go back, it's like watching it in slow motion. It's like watching a football game in slow motion. You're like, why are these kids not running? They are, but it's the game speed is just ridiculous. The change, you know what I mean? And I for sure benefited from that redshirt year, just because I needed that acclimation period. When people come in, they're like, oh, I don't want a redshirt. Well, I wanted a redshirt.
Yeah.
After that first week of practice, and I realized how much I needed to grow and mature and just get used to that game speed. I wanted the redshirt.
Yeah.
So again, that's another thing that we could get into is the redshirting and all that, but not for right now. But yeah, game speed, man, especially from like a New York State. And I'm not throwing shade at New York, but compared to like a Texas or like a California, Ohio, Florida, those kind of high schools are going to have better game speed. And in most cases, those kids will acclimate better than kids from northeastern, New York,
Yeah, that's
Pennsylvania.
all. Yeah, for sure. And that's I think that's an attribute that maybe is lacked somewhat in New York, but I think it's also underrated in New York. Like we have a lot of talent that goes unnoticed in New York State. And so many kids leave New York State to go to other high schools. There's so many kids right now who are going to California to go to high school to finish high school from Section 5, I know in particular, which is just unfortunate because coaches don't spend enough time recruiting Rochester. And I know UB and other schools are making it more of a focus now. Even Pitt has come up and got a receiver from Glenn's High School in Maritime in Buffalo. But overlooking Section 5, Section 6 has been really unfortunate to see, because imagine if you can just fill a team with guys like studs from Section 5, even guys like Jameer Jones and other guys. Like if you got all of them just at UB, like that would make our team really, really good. So I think game speed's big and something we didn't necessarily see. And I think also time played. Like I only played one season as a starter in high school, and maybe playing as a sophomore, a junior, a senior, starting for 3 years in high school, maybe even a smaller school, you're getting used to playing against faster kids. And then you, as a young kid, so as a sophomore or freshman,
Right.
you're playing on varsity, you might get to college and you might click a little easier just because you've always been ahead of that age curve. You know what I mean?
So
Like
I
in
played.
fantasy,
Go
you're
ahead.
good. I was just gonna mention in fantasy metrics, there's a thing called breakout age, which is really important when I like dynasty fantasy football. If anyone likes dynasty fantasy football, please let me know in the comments. It's not a hugely popular field, but I'm a big fan of it. And college dominator and age rating is really important. So when you break out, the breakout age is a big factor. So if you break out at age 19 compared to 21, that 19-year-old is more sought after in the NFL draft or in fantasy drafts because they broke out playing at 19 against 21, 22, 23-year-olds
Right.
rather than breaking out at 21. So
Yeah.
what were you going to say?
Honestly, I completely forgot.
Oh, shit. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. That was I completely forgot.
That's all good. So then we're talking, I've got a little bit of notes here. So game speed was one, school football, which is completely fine. Just to play, to have fun, just to hang out with their friends, and their goals aren't to play high school football, have fun with their friends after school from 3:30 to 5:30, and play on Fridays or Saturdays, get their jersey to their girlfriend, and that's fine. And there's different levels of dedication, because those kids aren't the ones just absolutely going crazy in the weight room over the off season. They might not even be there in the off season. And in college, off season is huge. It's the most important time of the year for building players who just redshirted, or young players, underdeveloped players from smaller schools with less game speed. If you're struggling with game speed, spring ball is massive. So all these different aspects of dedication is key when you get to college. You have to be, like you said, time is massive. And you spend so much more time working on football. You have to miss a lot of different events because of football. You have less time to hang out with friends, which is why your football team is really your family, and your best friends are going to be on the football team or whatever sport you play in college, because the amount of dedication for successful athletes is astronomical. Is that something you would kind of agree with as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I did remember what I was going to say. So I want to spit this out before I forget it again. I played varsity as a sophomore in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So I did grow into that game speed with the time. So I do agree with you that sometimes but here's where I don't, is that even though I did that sophomore to on varsity, that still didn't help me that much at going to that next level. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. But I think my counter to that would be like you, Molnich, Fuse, You all played as a sophomore. I know Fuse maybe even played as a freshman in high school. I didn't play like meaningful snaps until late junior and senior year. And then you guys played much quicker at UB than I did. Like I didn't see a snap until 2018. Like you were playing, Jake was playing, all three of you guys played, Fuse, Molnich, and yourself all played in 2017, 2018. I didn't really contribute until like 2020. You know what I mean? Maybe acclimated a little quicker. I don't know. You
Right.
have to think about that.
Yeah, no, I could see that. I could absolutely understand that. I don't know if it's just mine. Are you noticing the connection going at all?
No, is mine going?
I think it's mine. I just hope that the recording doesn't get botched, but we'll keep it going. I don't think it's anything too severe.
Okay, let me just turn my Wi-Fi off. 1 second, because my
You're
Wi-Fi is fucking shitty. Let's see here. Already got me? Nope.
Not yet.
Sorry. We can edit
You're
this
good?
part out too.
Yeah, no, it's not a problem.
Oh, can you see me now?
Bang. Gotcha.
All right, sweet. So yeah, as we were saying, the differences between high school and college: game speed, dedication, time consumption, and then another note we had down was how life changes overall. Why don't you talk about what do you kind of mean by that?
I think what I meant was just like what I noticed the most was that like I was expecting more of like a college experience, I guess, in high school. When I was looking at like being a college football player, like you get the college experience too, and I didn't get so much of that. So like in high school, it's so like, at least for me, like during football season in high school, that was time to lock in. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But once football season was over, uh, like you still locked in like in the weight room
Yeah.
and stuff
I
like that.
understand.
But you're not watching film every day. You're not waking up
Yeah.
at 6 a.m. every day to go lift. You might go lift
Mhm.
after school. You know what I mean? You're not doing 4-day-a-week conditionings. So
Yep.
it's different. And once I got that to the next level at Division 1, and I realized football is not just a 4-month period. It's not just through August, until late
Oh yeah.
November. It's 12 months. And that's kind of like, that was the biggest change for me, life-wise, was just realizing how much football actually was going to take over. And I'm not gonna lie to you, it was tough the first year for me, just because I so wasn't ready for it. And like coaches would like tell me all the time, they'd be like, "Do you love football?" I'm like, "Yeah, I love football." And they're like, "Well, you need to love football if you want to play D1." That's what they used to tell me. And that was always one of their first questions was, "Do you love football?" And now I understand why they ask you that. Do you love football? Because you got to love football.
Yeah.
If you're someone who's not fully in, the amount of time and effort that it takes to be a Division 1 athlete, or just any athlete at any level, I don't think you're going to make it. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Or you'll struggle much harder than somebody who truly does love and care for the game. So
Yeah.
I would say that was probably the biggest life change for me, was just the overall like encompassing of the life, like football. You know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah.
So that was probably my biggest life change.
Yeah, and I can totally agree with that. And I think there's so many aspects to how your life changes through football when you're in college. Even in the beginning, like right away, you got to learn the playbook. You're bringing the playbook home. In high school, you never brought the playbook home. At least for us, we didn't even have a written playbook. Like you're bringing the playbook home. I'm learning what this play is, what the tag means, all this different stuff. Like every night in the hotel, like I'm stressing out trying to figure out the play, the tempo, when it's no huddle. What does Indians mean? I need to know all this stuff. So even that, just a complexity of the playbook, which you have to bring football home. I never brought football home when I was in high school. I
No,
left practice. I took off my helmet. I was done. I was done
football
for
was
the
done
day.
after practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Yeah, dude, it's way different. So then when you go home, in college, you're watching film. Either you come back to the facility, which I like to do, and some guys like to watch on their computer or your phone, either one. You're watching film every day, most of the part, especially during practice, whether it's fall or spring ball. You're always watching film. You always want to see yourself. You want to see other guys, how you're improving compared to other guys, and just in general, how the team's doing. And then another big aspect that you bring home that maybe in high school you don't, and maybe if you're a high schooler, it's a good thing to add, is nutrition. So for myself, I started to kind of understand the importance of nutrition as you know now as a trainer, the importance of it for athletic performance. So when I was in high school, a junior year, Coach Molnich told me at the end of my junior year, he was like, you can be a really good player. You got to get bigger. Coach Burness, who was the offense coordinator, said the same thing. And I was like 230. And then, so that offseason, I was like, all right, I'm going to be a lineman. I'm going to get big. And I used to watch all these videos. And then by next year, I was 290. So I gained 60 pounds in one offseason, and I was fat as hell. But my shakes after I work out, I get this Optimum Nutrition Serious Mass, which is just like freaking diabetes and like
I used to take
protein
that
powder.
too.
Oh yeah. So I would take that, put in raw eggs, put in whatever, whole milk, anything just to gain weight. And I gained weight pretty quickly. But that was like a job for me. Like I never like even thought about what I ate until I started looking into gaining weight, and I realized how important protein was. And I started tracking on MyFitnessPal. Okay, I need to hit my body weight in protein. I need to do this and that. I need to have carbs around my workout, stuff like that, so I could perform at a higher level and gain weight. And in college, you have usually a nutritionist or at least some kind of nutrition intern who helps out with that. Your coaches talk about nutrition much more. And if you're somebody who maybe is playing in college sports now, you understand what we mean by the importance of nutrition and how you take it home with you from football practice.
Yeah. So I'd say the take home factor too that was good. That's huge, is the take home factor, just how it never ends. And if you're somebody like me and you who cares so much about our play and are never satisfied with our play, then you're gonna want to do that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? It might seem like a hassle at first, but then at the end, like I would say it was a hassle for me redshirt freshman year when I wasn't playing. That's when it was kind of a hassle for me. Once I started stepping on the field, um, that film after practice, that film before practice, the studying the playbook, day in and day out, taking it home, like that was crazy to me. After football practice is over, the coaches would expect us to go home and then watch film on practice. I didn't get that as a freshman. And then years down the line, I understood it, and I started playing more, and I wanted to do it because I wanted to get better. I wasn't satisfied with it. So I'd see some of my practice and be like, dang, I really don't like that. I want to get better at that next practice. And I think that's a really beneficial mindset to have too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's one more thing before we move on to the next topic is, like we said, game speed, dedication levels, time consumption, bringing it home, the life changes overall, nutrition. And I think sleep is also something that you kind of neglect as a high schooler because you can just operate on 5-6 hours of sleep like it's
100%.
nothing. And even when you first get to college, you're like, all right, I'll be fine. I'm going to go to bed midnight, wake up at 5, do my hydration test, kill it. But then eventually, like that sleep catches up with you. If least for me, like if I'm under like 6 hours, I'm toast. And I try to get 7
I'm
every
the same
night.
way.
Yeah. I try to get 7. Madeline needs like 10. So she influences me to go to bed, but sometimes I just don't feel like it.
There you go, influencer. Shout out Madeline.
Positive influence. But like, so I'm reading the Vertical Diet book right now, and it talks about sleep, and that's just something I'm trying to get better at, is having a nighttime routine, using blue light glasses, reading before I go to bed, having just a routine in general, going to bed somewhat early. And I think that's something in high school that so many kids are just like, fuck it, like I don't need to sleep, or you just procrastinate your projects and you're doing homework until midnight, and then you've got to wake up for school at 6, and then you feel like crap in your practice. You don't practice well. Your coaches don't think you're that good, but you really just practice shitty because you were tired. Then you don't start. Then you don't get looked at for college. Like sleep can have a big impact on your life. And it's something I'm sure neither one of us really thought about that often. Maybe you did, but I know I didn't. I was just like,
absolutely.
I mean, yeah, I never even thought about it. and I'd go in my room at like 11, supposed to wake up at 7, and I look at my phone until fucking 1 a.m.
Yeah.
So that's another really big aspect that all athletes and all people just can incorporate, and that's something I'm trying to continue to work on day in and day out.
Dude, I used to I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna say it anyways. I used to show up to like Saturday morning practices or like Saturday morning lifts we would have after the game. So incredibly hungover in high school. Sorry,
Yeah.
this is in high school. I would show up maybe off of like 2 hours of sleep. So hungover.
Just still hammered.
Yeah, I could never in college do that.
No.
Never. So yeah, sleep, huge. If I didn't get, like you were saying, 6 hours a night in college, I was dragging at practice.
Yeah.
Hurt. And coaches would notice too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, coaches will notice. But going along with sleep, I think another thing that, almost kind of taught, you're taught this through the coaches and just the lifestyle, going to college ball, time management. And I know that's a huge topic that we can go off of and another tangent sometime. So, but just to cover it real briefly, because it goes with sleep, you got to have time management. If you're not doing your homework, if you practice, they block off 6 hours of the day, right, for practice.
Yep.
It's usually 6 a.m. to noon.
Yeah.
Or they do 1 to 7 at night.
Something like
So
that.
that's blocked off for football, film, studying, all football related. Well, then you got schoolwork on top of that you got to get done. So you better time manage that. And then you still need to get that 6 to 7, 8 hours of sleep a night. So I think time management and having that is a huge skill. And if you don't have that skill, people can struggle pretty hard with just sleeping.
Yeah, absolutely. Time management is critical, and especially after football, or after college or after high school, when you start working, time management is another critical aspect that I'm putting down my resume right now. When I'm applying to jobs, I'm saying, look, I've managed my time for 6 years. I know how to travel, take a test, study the playbook, study the game plan, play a game, do it all over again. Week in, week out, juggling a bunch of different tasks, having checklists, having a plan to succeed, planning out your day, having a calendar, all that stuff is really important as time management. So I think that's something we can cover more in detail in the future. But yeah, time management is a massive component of transitioning from high school to college football. Okay, so then
go to these Q&As.
Now we're kind of going. Yeah, now we're gonna kind of go into our Instagram Q&A. So you can we put this poll out on our Instagrams. Mine is J Fred Klink KLENK 57 is my Instagram, and then Zach is Zach ZAC_Lefebvre. That's LEFEBVRE89. And then he also has the Apex Pursuit, which is at the Apex APEX Pursuit. So we put up those polls on our Instagrams. Go follow us there, and we'll leave that in the description as well. And we kind of asked you guys, our followers, which will hopefully grow through this podcast. What are the questions? Yep, he's got the brand right there. Let's go. I need to get a little logo. What's the back there? Is that your
yeah, just bragging about myself basically. No, and it's got my links on there.
Little business card there.
Plug.
Yeah. So
shout out to all of you guys in our DMs though.
We're gonna post the polls there. That's a fact. That is a fact. So we have a couple questions lined up. We're not going to talk about every single one of them, but we're going to talk about every single one of them eventually. So kind of for today, the first question that we have is our opinions on being a walk-on, and I imagine that is a reference to walk-on at D1. So I guess I'll start on this because I came in as a walk-on, and then I want to hear your opinion actually as well, because it's good to hear other people's opinions who haven't experienced it. So walking on, you either walk on as a preferred walk on. So if you see kids tweet out PWO, that's a preferred walk on. or you can be a walk-on tryout. So guys like Giovanni Ruiz and other Chibuzi, other great guys walked on and they tried out, and then the team invited them to come play on a team. That's the two ways you can be on a team, by being a walk-on. So what does a walk-on mean? A walk-on is when you're not on scholarship, and in the D1 FBS level, that means you're not on full scholarship. And then in FCS, it's different because you can get partial scholarships. So I'm going to be mainly talking about D1 because that's what I played. That's what I know. So my opinions on it, well, you've got to have, like we mentioned, dedication is huge. You've got to know what you're in for. So you've got to know it's going to take a little time to play. It's going to take a little time to get the respect of maybe the coaches or the players who don't know you as well. Maybe you tried out and you came in the third week of the season. You've got to know that's going to take a little while to get integrated into the locker room, and you've got to earn your respect. You're not going to have that. You're not going to have the same amount of respect as guys who came in on scholarship, and that's okay because they earned the respect by being really highly touted high school players. So don't be bitter towards them. It's just the way it is. You're going to have a little less respect. But then when you play hard on the field, you gain the respect immediately. So you can gain the respect quickly by how you lift in the weight room, how you play on the field. And then, so you join the team that way. So I joined as a preferred walk-on. Coach Mulnich luckily convinced UB to take me because I didn't know if they were going to take me, but luckily they did. So I didn't have to try out. And I came to UB as a walk-on and joined the team, came in with all the regular scholarship players in June, right after graduation. Sometimes walk-ons can wait until camp. I don't recommend that. I say get integrated right away with your class. It's really important to be tight with your class. And that's how I kind of came in. You've got to have a mentality here as a note. I think as we already kind of went over the mentality, don't be satisfied, stay humble, check your ego at the door. All those things are really important. So what do you think about that, Zach? What are your kind of opinions of walk-ons and just that process that you kind of watched during your career?
Yeah. And honestly, I think UB had a great walk-on system. I think all the
Yeah.
walk-ons at UB, well, most of them were harder workers than the guys on scholarship. You know what I mean?
Yeah, walk-ons.
So yeah. And kind of like you were saying that, like, you got to earn the respect because you're not some highly touted, or what was the word you used? Highly
touted.
Yeah. Recruited athlete. I agree, but I also disagree because I'm not going to base or give you less respect because you weren't recruited. You know what I mean? If you show up and I see you're a guy that's working their ass off every day and you're working harder than the guy next to me who's on scholarship, you're getting more respect than that guy is. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. One thing I just want to mention, I think
go ahead.
Earning respect to teammates is immediate. So when you're walking, you come and you work hard. I'm not really I'm talking about more with coaches. Sometimes it takes a little while to gain the trust and respect of the coaches compared to scholarship players, at least from my experience.
I got you.
That's all I meant. Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah. So what else? What other kind of thoughts do you have about it?
Just overall, like being a walk-on?
Yeah. I guess just your opinions or kind of what you saw at UB.
Yeah, like I was saying, I think UB had a great system for walk-ons, and a lot of them ended up being put on scholarship.
Yep.
And I don't want to start naming guys because I don't want to forget any.
Yeah, I feel that.
You know what I mean? But there's a lot of them that did end up being put on scholarship, and that was because of their work ethic, how they came in and were consistent. I feel like being consistent as a walk-on is huge.
Yeah.
So if you're consistently on time, that's huge. If you're just consistently doing everything that you can to the best of your abilities, that's going to be the biggest key factor being a walk-on. Be more consistent than the guy across from you who's on scholarship. Coaches will realize that, and coaches recognize consistency, and they want to see that, and they want to see guys who fit their system. So when coaches come in, obviously they have a system that they want to run, and a certain not system, but what am I trying
to? Yeah, culture.
Exactly.
Yep.
They have a culture that they want to have the team feed into. If you're a walk-on and you feed into that culture and you fit that culture and you're consistent, I think, the sky's the limit for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Consistency is massive. Reliability, just be reliable, be on time, like Zach mentioned.
Right.
If you're a walk on right now, if you're thinking about being a walk on, and then another massive thing is to stay patient. You're not going to play, most guys at least, some guys play right away, but most guys, you're going to take a little while to play. You're not going to play in your first year. You're good at red shirt. You might not play your second year. That happened to me. I didn't play my second year. I didn't see a snap, and that was demoralizing. But you've just got to stay in there, man. Like I was talking about the fighters, sometimes you just got to stick it out, lose that round, and then just keep moving on. Sometimes it's like that. So just have that patience. As long as you're working hard, you're doing everything right. You talk to your coaches, you ask, what can you do better? You focus on those things. You're moving in the right direction. So you've got to have that patience. Sometimes guys don't play right away. You don't play your first or second year, and that's okay, but just keep working. And like you said, the sky's the limit, and that's all you can do. Be a great teammate. Don't become bitter if you don't play. Some guys, after a season or two, they don't play, they just start going just self-destruct mode. They hate the coaches, they hate the players, they get
That's
jealous
letting
of
your
guys.
ego get in the way too.
Yeah, you can't be a poisonous player in the locker room just because you don't play.
No.
That's a massive thing to mention.
That's only going to hinder your growth and potential.
Yeah, and then you're probably going to quit, and but you're going to just negatively impact a lot of people on the way out. So don't get better, and stay patient as a walk-on. Continue to work hard. Check your go at the door, all that stuff. If you've got more specific questions about being a walk-on, please let us know in the comments. And then why don't we head over to the next question, which is advice on a dude who would like his son to play football in the future. So why don't you lead this one off, Zach? What do you think about this?
So this is hard for me.
Yeah.
This is hard for me and I'll tell you why. If I have a son, I don't want him playing football. And that's a whole nother podcast and can go into injuries, mental health, things like that. If I could, I would rather have my son excel in a different sport if he wants to play sports. You know what I mean? If I had to answer this, advice on a dude who would like his son to play football in the future.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's tough, man. Because
that's all right.
Yeah, I'll let you take the reins on this. And if I have anything, I can chime in.
So I know the guy who asked this, and it's a good question because he didn't play football. His high school was too small to play football. And like many people, that's sometimes the case. You want to play football. You grew up around an NFL team, college team, but your high school is small. You don't have a football team and you want your kid to play football. Well, first of all, your kid has to like football. Your kid has to really want to play football. If your kid's not begging you to play football, you don't need to sign them up to play football. I think that was a big thing that my parents did. They didn't make me play football. They never even signed me up to play football. I begged to play football for years and they said no. Until I was in sixth grade, they were like, no, you're not going to play football. You're not going to get hit in the head when you're a second grader and be an idiot. So like they wanted me to really beg them. And they also looked out for my health. So I think that's a big thing. I would have your kid play sports. The thing is like where you want to prevent head injuries, but if you're playing sports, a lot of sports, you're going to get hit in the head. Like you go play soccer, you're going to get concussions too. You go play volleyball, go play women's volleyball, man. Some of those women just spike it right on somebody's head. Like you can get injured in other sports, but I think preventing those traumatic injuries in football or waiting till a later age. I mean, I've read about concussions and stuff somewhat. I'm no doctor, but I think waiting until a later age, maybe wait until middle school, maybe high school, somewhere around there, modified football in seventh grade is a great option. And I think as they're talking about now, heads up football is really important, not using the crown of your helmet, not headbutting people all the time. And then making sure, so your kid wants to play football. That's huge. You can't just make them play football if they don't want to play football. Don't sign them up because if they don't want to play football, they're not going to try their hardest and they're going to get waxed in practice. They're going to get their bell rung all the time in practice for no reason if they're not obsessed about playing football. Your kid needs to want to play football. First of all, if they do, you need to also talk to them about the risks of playing football. You've got to inform them. You can't just sign them up or have them play and not tell them, hey, you might get injured. You might hurt your head. You might hurt your neck, your back, your shoulders, whatever. you've got to inform them of the risk. You want informed consent, even from your kids. You want to make sure they understand what's going on, because you don't want to have them get hurt and be like, dang, I wish I just played soccer with my best friend. Be like, yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't tell you could tear your shoulder. So that's really important as well. And I think teaching them proper technique, like I mentioned, you want to make sure your kid has a really good coach. So if you're going to have your kid play football, you want to make sure you trust the coach. Luckily, I had great coaches throughout my career, and I trusted all of them. So did my parents. But that's a huge aspect that maybe some coaches, like you see on Twitter, you'll see these kids doing the nutcracker drill. They're laying on their backs. Their heads are damn near touching. One kid has the ball, one doesn't. They run head first into each other. And then they're like, the helmets are bigger than their torsos. So you want to make sure your kid has a great coach, doesn't play too early, and also is playing other sports before they play football. Make sure they're athletic. Make sure they have a cardio base, a strength base. Go do some, I don't know, wrestling, you're going to have head impacts too, but I think wrestling is a great sport that I wish I stuck it out. I quit because I was soft in 8th grade or after 8th grade, but I think wrestling is a great sport to do. Baseball, lacrosse is a great sport, hockey. And of course, you get hit in the head and nose, but a lot of like hockey, you don't check until a little while. Football, you start right away. So play for some flag football, like we mentioned. Don't get as many traumatic brain injuries before you're probably in 8th, 9th grade. And then make sure your kid really wants to play. Don't just force them to play.
I think wanting to play is huge. So if they want to
Mm-hmm.
play, that's a big thing.
Yep.
Don't force them.
Yep.
I think another way that could help, maybe if your kid isn't interested in football and you kind of want to get them interested in football, make like a Sunday night or like a Monday night with Monday Night Football. Make it like a family event.
Mm-hmm.
So like start introducing them to the game little by little.
That's great.
You know what I mean? So like have like Monday night be like, all right, we're gonna order pizza and we're gonna watch Monday Night Football. That's a good way to start introducing your kid to the game. And maybe at that point, a little bit later down the line, he starts learning more football. He picks a favorite team. And now he wants to play. You know what I mean? Now he's influenced by guys. So I think wanting to play is huge. Maybe introducing it to them slowly with things like that is another big thing. And safety. Don't set your kid up for failure. So like we were saying, if he's not a kid who wants to go out there and be physical, football is probably might not be your sport.
Yeah. And then also, it's really something I never really even understood, but teach, if your kid maybe is undersized, not very athletic, but still wants to play football, teach them how to long snap. Because long
skill
snappers,
positions in football, long snapping, kicking. Come on.
punt. Yes, that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. Learn how to
punting.
be a specialist. If you're, or maybe you play soccer and you like football, learn how to punt, learn how to kick, or learn how to long snap. You can get a scholarship, or you can even just get a preferred walk on. You can be 5'10", 180, average size kid. But if you're an elite long snapper, dude, you can get on a team. So that's another thing. If your kid, maybe you're looking at them in high school and they're like, wait a second, he's a sophomore. He's not that big. I'm not that big as a parent. My wife's not that big. Maybe talk to see if they want to start long snapping. That's a great
It's a good way to get them involved.
You're on the team, you're in the locker room, you have a great time, and you're also not exposing yourself to massive injuries as well, which is really big.
Absolutely.
So that's another great option to look into, is maybe being a long snapper, a kicker, something like that, which is you're still in the locker room, you're still respected, you're still loved within the locker room. The specialists are usually the funniest guys. So that's another great option. If your son wants to play football, maybe is undersized or isn't very physical, that could be something that works as well.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right. So number 3 here, we got 5 of them, but number 3 here, did you guys receive any special treatment as athletes?
Any Robert Kraft treatment for you?
What's that?
Any Robert Kraft treatment for you?
Not for me. So I
you know what that means or not?
No.
Oh.
Should I? Am I dumb?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully the viewers do, but so it's let me just talk about it real quick before, and then you could talk about your special treatment if you got any. So Robert Kraft, he's the Patriots owner, and he was arrested in Florida around the Super Bowl a few years ago because he was getting a little happy ending massages.
Oh, I remember that. No, okay.
Yeah. And he was like 75.
No.
It was pretty funny.
That didn't happen to me.
All right.
Disappointing. So yeah, no, I wouldn't say any like special treatment. I would say some professors are definitely more lenient towards athletes than others. If you want to call that special treatment. Sorry. By the way, guys, if you made it this far, I am 100% sick, and I'm not going to say the word because YouTube will actually demonetize, or not demonetize, but they won't push out the video as hard if you say that word.
The damn Wuhan flu got him.
Yeah. Yep. Mad cow disease. So, anyways, yeah, I would say some professors are more lenient towards athletes with like timing of like maybe due dates and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Um, but I know what special treatment they're trying to get out of me here is like money, gifts, stuff like that.
I wish. I wish.
Yeah, and at Buffalo, at school in the MAC, it's not as prevalent.
Yeah.
I would say compared to some of these bigger schools where guys get busted for, signing autographs for thousands of dollars. So
Mm-hmm.
in my experience, no, I would say the biggest special treatment would probably be, I guess, with professors, just a little bit more leniency, I guess. What about you?
Yeah. Yeah, I think the professors, they're understanding, not always though. Sometimes the professors are
Oh
maybe
yeah,
like bitter towards athletes because I think that all the funding should go towards education, even though the teachers are freaking shitty. But that's a different point because SUNY doesn't support the SUNY athletics enough, and that's a different problem to talk about. But special treatment, no, obviously I came as a walk on. We didn't get paid, and I don't think anybody did in the MAC, like you said. That's not a thing that happens that I know of. And I guess the biggest thing for me that's not special, but it's something that regular students don't have for free is tutoring. Tutoring was massive for me. And that was just an extra perk that we got as athletes. And for certain classes like computer science or other difficult math classes for me that didn't always click, having a tutor for free that I could sign up for, go meet in alumni arena and talk to about what I was struggling with, how to study it better, how to help me with homework and assignments and studying was massive. So I think that's got to be the biggest thing. Other treatment received is, I mean, we've got trainers, so they help us with injuries, which is really important. We got strength coaches, and then we have nutritionists who help us, but nothing special as this person probably implied, like happens at
right.
Power Five Alabama's. Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah,
that's another whole thing that we could go into is just the perks, I guess you would call them, of
yep,
being an athlete. That'd be a good topic to cover in a podcast. So let us know if you guys want to hear about that. Um, whether it comes to tutoring, being fed meals, money, uh, uh, the equipment, or the training staff and stuff like that. So that'd be good to talk about. So let us know if you guys want to hear about that. But as
yep,
far as what I think they're going after here, I don't. I would say no, not in
yeah,
the
no,
Mac level.
negative.
Yeah. All right, next one. Favorite bulking meals. So I
Oh
try to
baby,
keep these mostly football related, and honestly, we can keep this football related. So,
no, it can be. We can do whatever we want. Honestly,
all right,
I
cool.
don't think it
All right,
matters.
favorite bulking meal. Do you want to keep it clean? Is it a clean
No,
bulking
no,
meal?
no, 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 no,
So
no.
so should it be favorite cheat meal?
I think it's like a constructive cheat meal. So like it's got to have some protein in there.
Okay. All right,
You
go
know what I
ahead.
mean? Um, favorite bulking meal. Okay, so I guess we can do one clean, one dirty. Is that cool?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So a clean bulking meal is a massive bowl of rice or protein pasta with steak. Um, and probably preferably like a fatty steak, like a ribeye or something if you're
Ooh,
trying to bulk. I love steak. That's my favorite food. Um, so I would say favorite bulking clean meal is rice and steak. Shout out Stan Efferding, The Vertical Diet, which I'm learning a lot about right now. I'm reading his book that I got for Christmas, and he's talking about the importance of just steak and rice, carbs and protein after you get micronutrients. So that's really important for cleaning for me. I love steak and rice when I'm trying to gain weight, especially during the season. This season I struggled with weight in the beginning because I had mono this past camp. So I didn't really practice or do anything. So I had to gain weight. I had to gain like 20 pounds for the start of the season. So a lot of steak, a lot of rice. And then when we talk about dirty, Dirty bulking meals is cereal. I can eat a whole box of cereal in a sitting, not even think about it. I could put, like cereal is my kryptonite for eating healthy. So if there's cereal in the house and I'm bulking or I'm just acting fat, that's gonna get me. Yeah. What
Okay,
about you?
clean
Yeah.
for me. If I had to choose clean, it would probably be similar to you. I would do a cut of steak. Um, Honestly, which cut I'm not really too picky about, whether it be strip or ribeye or sirloin, anything. So I'll do
Yeah.
steak,
Mhm.
rice, white rice. It's gotta be white
Yeah,
rice.
white rice, jasmine.
And I would spice it up with avocado because
Ooh.
the fat
Yeah.
content. So basically a clean bulking meal. You're gonna
Mm.
want proteins, carbs, fats, and fats being
Yep.
probably a little bit higher if you want are looking to bulk because they're 9 calories per gram compared to 4 through protein and carbs. So you're going to want to have a little bit higher fat content. So then again,
Yeah,
you
that's
could
good.
do the ribeye then. So I'll be more specific. So ribeye,
Yes.
avocado, white rice.
Go to
That'd be
Costco
my
for your steak. FYI, go to Costco for your steak. You don't get ripped off as much as like other grocery stores.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Those wholesale
Yeah.
stores. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right. And then dirty, you said
Mhm.
cereal. That's a good one, dude. I love cereal. I love cereal. Um, I'm trying to think of what I did the most though when I was trying to gain weight the most that I wouldn't consider clean now. Honestly, I think I
Dude, you
do.
ate clean like forever.
I know, but in high school when I was really trying to bulk,
Yeah.
I would say my my downfall was like milk. And honestly, it's not even like that's so dumb to say, but like I would have like peanut butter and jellies, like 4 of them, with just like a gallon of milk. It was like that's how I got my calories in, but it's not. That's not even dirty. So you know what? That's a bad one. Throw that out the window.
What is it like garbage plate pizza? What do you got? Garbage plate pizza, pancakes? What any of those sound like a common dirty bulk meal that you had?
I'm pretty sure you just yes, all of them.
Yeah.
All of them. I would say garbage plate. In high school, I was a garbage plate guy. Anywhere I went, I would get garbage plates. Fairport Hots at like 2 in the morning. I would go smack down a giant garbage plate. So if you're not from
Yes, sir.
Rochester, a garbage plate is mac salad. You can do your choice of home fries or like French fries. Or I know some places even do like onion rings. So it's like mac salad, your French fry or your starch of choice, and then your meat of choice basically over the top, right? So like hot dogs, hamburgers,
Mhm.
chicken. Some people do like chicken strips, and then it's all drenched in like this meat hot sauce. And then you can put like onions, ketchup, mustard all over the top. So it sounds really disgusting to probably anybody who's not from Rochester, but it's amazing. So yeah, I'd probably go with garbage plate.
Oh yeah, it's fire. Absolute fire. Um, and then we've got
Last
the
one.
next question. Yeah, next question is our biggest bench, squat, deadlift, and clean numbers. Why don't you start us out? What's your biggest numbers here?
All right, you guys ready to be amazed? Um, okay, so actually all these numbers were hit in Kentucky.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, because I started bulking in Kentucky again. I got up to like 240, 242 when I was in Kentucky. Um, so my biggest bench, probably like, dude, I'm a terrible bencher. I think I've hit 315 3 times in my life. So I don't think I've ever gone over 315 on bench. Could I have? Maybe. I think it's more of a mental thing for me
Yeah.
because I was able to do 225 for 20, but I couldn't do
Yeah.
315. So
Yeah, it's odd.
yeah, 315 bench.
Yep.
Squat I hit 445 or 450 at Kentucky. I've never maxed deadlift, and my max clean was 305.
Oh, you got me there. Um, so then for me, bench, I think my best is 365. That's the 3 plates with the 25. I remember hitting that vividly. I don't know if I ever hit above that. So I'll say 365 for bench. The 225, I got 25 in 2018. Haven't done it since then. I know now I wouldn't hit it. but that was
You
365.
said you got 25.
Yeah, 25 reps. Yep.
Dang, good for you.
Yeah, thanks. Then squat. I'm not a great squatter. I think my most. I know I hit 425. I think I hit 435. But nothing crazy. I think either 425, 435. Nothing very impressive. Deadlift, I've hit above 500 in Pat Gagan, who's my buddy down the street. He's got like a little garage gym before he moved. He had a little garage gym we did in quarantine in the peak COVID times. Oh, sorry, we can bleep that out. And I know I hit 500 plus. I don't know exactly what I hit. I've got it all
You
on
guys used to
videos.
deadlift a lot at Mendon in high school, right?
Yeah, we would just deadlift like
Yeah,
maniacs
you guys
for
were
no
big
reason.
deadlifters over there. I never deadlift. I wish I did, because
It's
people can pull crazy numbers.
dude, it's fun until you hurt your back, but it's a great time.
True.
And then clean, my best is 300. I hit 300 and I never hit it again. But I remember the past 2 seasons, I haven't been able to, the past 2 years, I haven't been healthy enough to really max out anything. But clean, I hit 300 a while ago. I remember I was hyped. That was like my goal forever to hit 300. So,
Dude, shout
those
out
are my
Coach
numbers.
V. He was our strength coach at Western Kentucky.
Yep.
Shout out Coach V, because he made us strong as shit. And honestly, I think I got so strong too because I was in such a calorie surplus and I was putting on so much weight so fast.
Oh yeah.
So my testosterone was probably through the roof and everything was just firing. But yeah, my squat got the strongest it's ever been. Dude, when I put 450 on the bar and I picked it up, I was like, it felt like I shouldn't have that much weight on my back, but I don't know. He just got us strong, dude. He got us really strong. So my numbers aren't too impressive. I really wish I could one day hit the 3 plates and a 25 for the bench.
2 plates, 25. I'm sure. I mean, if
That's
you
what
bulk
you
up
had,
again, I'm
right?
sure you can.
365.
Yeah.
That's what you said, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to get me there, man.
So I don't. Yeah. Good luck. I'm
Bring
sure
me
you
a
can.
program.
You just got to gain weight. What are you, 210 right now? 220? What are you?
Well, because the mad cow disease, I'm probably light right now. I'm not going to say my weight, but the last.
Are you under? Whoa, are you under 200? You have a scale at home. I know you do. You're OCD as fuck. What do you weigh? Yeah, what the? I don't have a scale. I wish I did. I need to get one. What do you weigh?
I hover at around 200.
What the? Dude, what?
It's crazy. For anyone who doesn't know, I was never a huge tight end. I was at the beginning of my freshman year. I was like 260. And then from there, it was just losing weight. And I ended up playing my senior year at like 230. And yeah.
You were lean. You were lean at 230.
I was very lean at 230.
Yeah.
I lost a lot of muscle.
Yeah. You just wanted to get shredded. Is that why
you
lost?
Oh, yeah, dude. I dropped my. Hey, honestly, get mad cow disease. If you want to get shredded, go start licking door handles or doorknobs. You won't eat for like 2 days and you're going to be like right now, I'm shredded right now. And that's why I'm not stepping on the scale until I'm fully ready to.
Fair enough. Yeah, I had the same thing. I got mono in August. I don't even know how. And I lost like 20 pounds. It was crazy. Dude. I couldn't eat. Anytime I tried to eat, I just threw it up. Like it was crazy.
And as an athlete, when you're pushing food and you're an O lineman and you got to maintain a certain size and you got to keep pushing food. Yeah. You're out with mono for how long did it hit you?
I think I was out for like the minimum. I came back at the earliest day I could. I was out for I think 3 to 4 weeks.
3 weeks, yeah. 3 weeks was my minimum.
3 weeks
too.
Yeah, then that's what it was. Yeah, 3 weeks.
Yeah, dude, and you can lose a lot of weight in that 3 weeks not pushing food.
Yeah, but and then I had one other thing to say. Yeah, so now a little update. Zach is recovering from his obscure disease, and then I am also on an expedition of a new diet. So when I played football, I was around 295 to 300 my whole career, and now I just finished playing football. I'm trying to get healthier internally and on all my joints and everything. So I'm losing weight, and Zach's been kind of helping me program. And then I switched up a little bit, and now I'm doing the carnivore diet. January's World Carnivore Month. So if anyone's got questions about the carnivore diet, or I don't know what's even about, is it healthy? I have no idea. But I'm doing it, trying it out. It's been, dude, I'm losing weight like crazy.
Well, yeah, dude, I bet you are. There's no carbs,
bro. bro, I've lost like I think 9 pounds in the last 4 days,
Yeah.
and I'm eating 6 eggs every morning. I'm eating steak. I got a bunch of steak from Costco, and
So
then
I'm
I'm
just
eating
curious
some.
to see your performance at the gym, how that
Yeah,
continues as you continue this diet, how that affects.
definitely decreased
Yeah.
performance. Not I don't think a ton, but not as much like pop, I
Prolonged
guess.
energy too.
Yeah. So nothing crazy. I don't know. It's really interesting. I don't get as many like I don't get as great as pumps. I noticed that for
Oh
sure.
yeah. Yeah.
Like I noticed that I was hitting back and biceps today, and I just like wasn't getting a good bicep pump, and I was hitting standing dumbbells, standing curls, I was
Everything.
hitting preachers, I was hitting hammers. I was like, yo, come on.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to do
Yeah.
the little shoulder test. I'm like, all right, how? And it was just like I only could get like right there. I'm like, I was like, oh, come on, man.
Yo, the
So the
shoulder
carnivore
test,
diet,
by the way,
yeah.
if you guys don't know, the shoulder test is if you're this is how you know you get a big bicep pump, is if you can't touch your pinky or your fingertips to your shoulders.
Yep.
So if you can go like this, you're not working hard
Keep
enough.
going. Keep
Yeah,
going.
you got to keep going.
That's a classic. We'll have to talk about the training arms tips, especially because you have a lot of different secrets that you use to train arms, which I'm trying to get better at because I don't have a great mind muscle connection with those. But you got anything else to talk about?
No, I just kind of wanted to explain, like, I know
Yeah,
this podcast was mainly sport related and collegiate sport related in that aspect of things. But each one will change, you know what I mean? Some of them will be mixed, whether it be nutrition, training, football, college life, all that stuff. So
yeah,
this one was definitely more college football oriented, but drop whatever you guys want to hear. So if you guys want to hear more about diet and nutrition and Clank's journey on this carnivore diet, then next pod we'll attack a little bit more of that kind of stuff. So um, pretty much all this is going to be based off of your guys' feedback. So let us know how we did. Um,
yeah. I,
this
I
is
love.
kind of a rough first go at it. You know what I mean? We had a little
Yeah,
uh, uh, what do you call it? Freaking. This is
notes.
why. What's that?
We have the little notes guideline. What are
Yeah,
you
what is it? What is it
referencing?
called when like you have like a script kind of
Yeah, I
script
guess.
almost?
I
Yeah,
mean,
we had
it's
a
more of like yeah, like a rough
outline.
outline. Yeah,
There
outline's
we
a good
go.
word.
Okay,
um
cool.
we had a rough outline, which is good. I also had one thing I'm asking. So I've been working out at the gym, and I can't find like good music that gets me fired up because I'm listening to like my football pregame songs, but they just get dull because I've listened to them so many times.
Yeah.
Or I just downloaded on Apple Music Eminem Essentials, Lil Wayne Essentials,
Uh,
and then 2000s hard rock essentials, and I'm like trying to figure out different songs to listen to. So if anyone's got good ideas, please leave them in the comments. This is like I'm in desperate need of new music because today I listened to the gym's music for half the time. So I need help with that.
drop your playlist, boys.
Yeah, drop your playlists or song recommendations. I love Jack Harlow. Um, but I need more pump up music or just good music to listen to early in the morning at the gym. So yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching. Share it if you know people who would be interested in these topics, and let us know what topics you like to hear about. I love to talk about. I love to talk about conspiracies, as well as I don't know what we want to talk about here, but conspiracies is really fun to talk about.
Forgot to mention
Aspects of
that too.
Yeah, conspiracies, aspects of politics is interesting to me. We can talk about some UFC fights when they happen,
Oh,
NFL,
absolutely.
fantasy football, bodybuilding. Arnold's in like 8 weeks. I want to talk a little bit about that eventually.
Oh yeah.
We're both kind of interested in bodybuilding, so if you're interested in that, let us know as well. All these different topics, let us know. Hope this was helpful. If you're watching this and you're not in high school, maybe send it to a kid you know in high school who's trying to figure out what to do if they're interested in playing football, another sport, and they need some advice. This might be a little helpful platform for them to listen to. And once again, leave your comments for any ideas for future podcast episodes.
Absolutely. Comment down below. Let us know how we did. Let us know where we can go from here. It was fun. Thank you, Clank. And
Yeah, it's been
yeah,
good.
until next time.
All right, see you later.
All right, guys.